Okay, this is gonna be harder than expected, but we're gonna go with it. But what I wanna show you is how I have everything set up, which it's honest to God, it's very hard to film painting. So let me just show you. I just have this old IKEA lamp thing, and I'm just pointing it at the glass just so that you can see the light pop on it more. Canvas is there. What I'm going to try to do is to paint. I'm gonna try to set this up like this, and then maybe you'll be able to see everything. I swear Bob Ross must have had multiple camera angles. Actually, no, because you can't see that. Okay. I'm gonna try to do it like this. I don't know if this is gonna make any sense, but we're gonna try. Sorry for all the camera shaking. Okay. Okay, so I need to find a paper towel, so 1 second. Okay, we're losing the light outside, so all in all, this is really challenging. All right, so I have paper towel because we're doing watercolors. One other thing I wanted to mention is when you're working with oils or acrylics, this is my go-to. It's an old white t-shirt. I cut up little squares of it, particularly like usually about this big, I don't know, 6 by 6 inches, and I throw them away when I'm done painting so that the paint doesn't get everywhere. So it's a really good use for your old white tees. Anyway, we're just gonna go in with this plain old brush. Okay. Got too many things in this camera. Okay. All right. The question one should ask while I'm getting some water on my brush is, when you look at the glass, what color is it? What do you see? What's your answer? Okay, do you see any other ones? Uh-huh. What else? How do you make that color? Oh, okay. So what I see is, let me use this to tap this off. I see yellows. I do see some greens, but right where you probably think it's the greenest, I see yellow. In here I see like a blue, like an indigo blue. I see a dark line here. I see light here, dark here. So we're just gonna try to go in and mimic this. Perspective wise, it's gonna be weird. And actually, I'm gonna flip this because I thought I'd be painting the whole bottle, but whatever, we're winging it. Okay, so I'm gonna dip my brush. Now, you can start with darks or lights, it's your choice. I am going to start with lights because this is watercolor and I just don't know how it's gonna react. So I'm gonna go in here with this little palette and I'm gonna do, see, this is why I want my guide. I'm gonna do the cadmium yellow, which is what I thought anyway. So this one. So I'm gonna go in here, I have a little bit of water on the brush already. I'm just gonna dip in there. And this is confusing, but okay, I'm gonna go like this. Okay. Now, one thing I usually like to do at first is to get foreground in a little bit. I mean the background. So just bear with me because this is like nearly, see how it bleeds, impossible, because I'm literally trying to paint what I see in the camera, so I'm sure it's gonna look a mess, but that's fine because you're a beginner and it doesn't matter. Make a mess. Who cares? It's just paper. Okay, so I'm just kind of trying to give myself a little bit of differentiation. Probably could have gone in with a non-yellow, but oh well. Let me see if I darken this up. Okay. Now, typically, if you're working with other paints, you probably wouldn't be going into the exact colors that you think you want to use because you'd be mixing your colors, but in this case, we're kind of going to go in with the actual colors. I'm going to go in with a little bit of an olive green because I'm sure you have the desire to put green on there. I just have the desire to make it pop more on the lens for you. So I'm going to do, but you want to be really careful with your darks because you can't take them back. It's already bleeding. Okay. And mind you, this is the very first time I've ever worked with this palette. So I don't really know. This is not really working. Okay, I'm gonna try to change something. I would rather you be able to see a little bit more of the painting. So you do really want to focus on your lines and your shapes. Okay, so you really want to get your lines in there. God, this is hard. I'm not an expert watercolorist, guys. It's actually much more movable than I would have thought, but it comes up. Much more severely. I think, you know, this glass example is really good with oil, but I'm not sure what I think about it with watercolor. Ooh, that's nice. Remember how I said I saw that blue? You can no longer see the bottle because I just wanted to give you a better angle, but I saw a little blue in here, and that's purple. Whoops. Well, I guess you're getting the point, since I don't know what I'm doing with these colors either, that it's okay to just play. So maybe that kind of sums it all up. But I would like to drive home the fact that you're looking for the light. So if I remember correctly, I'm just going to do this really severe so you can actually see. Half of the bottle. Was pretty dark. I'm gonna see if this will work. And then there was this pop of light over to the side. I don't know if you remember that, but there was. And what I'd like to do is just set this off a little bit. So I'm gonna put this here. Now with acrylic and oil, you don't usually get so much runaround, you know? And it's also not usually so light. I'm guessing if I go back in time after time, it'll darken up, but oh, see, that's darker. It's really about how much water you have too. Interesting. Which I guess, you know, water, much like what I was saying with the oil and the acrylic, you know, there's all these different mediums. And guys, by the way, you can paint with nail polish. Paint with whatever you have. I like to paint with those bingo pens. You can use paint markers. But my point of what I'm doing right now is to try to use the background to pop out the contour with contrast. Just so you can see a little better. Now the other thing is your lights, the source of light is also a factor back here, so it's not all going to be the same tone. There's going to be, you know, subtle shifts. This is nice. And there's, you know, maybe there's a shadow on the wall. Let's leave that there. Yeah. Ooh, look. I forgot about that. That's fun. Now the reason I'm going in with red, honestly, is to just try to pop it on camera for you, but also because red is the complementary color to green, which just means that it really helps, they help each other stand out. Green is made from blue and yellow. A little color theory is good. What do you think orange is made out of? Yes, red and yellow. And purple? Red and blue, very good. Now you have the basics. From there you can mix any color you want. Okay, so I'm gonna go back in one more time here with these paints I'm not familiar with. And I'm gonna try to reiterate. Oh my God. All right, so you wanna go way light on this water. Or, you know, I guess the thing is that the paper's already so wet that it helps bleed it out, because I know there's different techniques with watercolors. Like you can have a wet page, so if the page is wet, I don't know if this paper is going to take watercolor, but who cares? Experiment, it's fun. Let's go with orange. So we can paint orange where I didn't paint the water, and then we could paint orange where I did, and you'll see it gets much more drippy here. This is terrible because my light's going out. Sorry. Oh, if I move this, if I move the object that I'm painting, you can actually see a lot better. Yeah, so this one's much more drippy, this one's much more flat. So that's what's happening up here, is that it's all wet, so the paint is just dripping. So I'm having a hard time building up color, which if I was working in acrylic wouldn't be a problem because it dries so fast. So yeah. I'm gonna try one more time. Let's go with this one. Yeah, this just isn't gonna be perfect, but the point I'm trying to make is, oh, this is helping. I wanted to get the feeling of it being glass. Let me do a painting class on paint that I don't know how to use. Good idea. That looks good. So the longer you stare at an object, the more colors that you're going to be able to see in that object. So I'm gonna wrap up this video here. Let me just adjust this camera and I'll just take you back to, I'm crooked. So I'll just take you back really quickly to the beginning of what my point was, is that when you look at an object, there are many more colors than you think, okay? So the way that translated today is like this. So this is where I saw the lights, this is where I saw the darks. There's no wrong answer. And there's no, sorry, I'm trying to figure out this camera. There's no wrong way. It's just your eye, and that's what's gonna make it your painting. This is so nice. You just take your paper towel at the end and you just wipe it up. Okay, if I can figure out how to use watercolors, I think I'm gonna really like them. I do really like this palette though, I have to say. It's really nice. I like the clarity of the paints. So, what is the point? Okay, so to wrap this up, I'm just gonna take us back to the very beginning, which is the original thing that I had to say about painting, is that painting is the study of light. It is looking at light and learning how to apply it to a surface. The way that light sits on things is the way you bring it to life on a canvas. Now, with many of my paintings, which I know I've shown in other videos, but while I'm sitting here, I can go like, that's one. This is one. Okay, but I'm sure these camera angles look terrible. So the point is, painting, this light is blinding me. Painting is a time for you to sit and be still and be in your mind and work things out. And it's basically how to meditate, but it tricks you because you think you're painting. So look at the light, start from there. Work with something that's glass. Choose the kind of paint that calls to you. And if you really want to get invested in painting, I really do recommend starting with oil, because I think you'll learn so much about technique, because the process forces you to be slow, and because you can come back to it, and because it is so forgiving. So all that stuff is going to be linked down in the description. If you watched this far, thank you for watching my impromptu video. Let me check my notes. Okay, painting a cover of light. A study of light, check. Oil, acrylic, watercolor. Cleaning your brushes and mixing paint. I didn't show you how to mix paint, but I will get into that. I actually lent my cousin all my oil paints, so I got to get some oil paint back from him in order to show you about mixing paint. So I do have that in mind, and I will try to do that in another video. If you guys are interested, let me know in the comments below. I talked to you about music, the importance of music, and tape, because let me actually show you before we go why the tape is awesome. You see that crisp little edge there? It's gonna look professionally framed, even though you just made a mess. You see this board that I paint on? I've had this since college, and it is a mess. But a painting board is a great thing to invest in. Now, I will link some of these things below, including this little watercolor set, because I think it's so great. It could easily be a great place to start for you too. But when you're starting out, I really do suggest starting with just a few colors, maybe even just one color, and learning to study light that way. I'll show you more examples, and the thing I'm going to close it out on is that painting, I'm going to say it one more time, is a study of light. It is not a study of your light. It is not about comparing yourself to other painters. If you did that, you'd probably never paint. Now, I'm kind of glad I did this with paints that I don't even know how to use, because I know that you've asked for this video because you're a beginner and you don't know where to start. I grew up with a dad who is a painter, and I'm gonna show you one of his paintings so you understand what I was up against and probably why I do portraits. So this is one of my dad's paintings. See if we can find his name. Schipp. I don't know if you can see it. But good Lord, right? I am not that painter. You see my paintings back there? Paintings here. This. Anyway, I was intimidated. So you know what I did? I painted something else. So maybe that's what you need to do. If something like that is holding you back, just paint the opposite, okay? My dad did landscapes, so I do people. That way, really couldn't judge myself, because I think that's what gets in people's heads so much. And if you look at my very first paintings, P.S., they were terrible. They sucked. You get better. You get better over time. I will show you one last thing before you go, because this is kind of a contrast over time. I'm not gonna move this lamp because I don't feel like dealing with it. But this painting I did in probably, I think, 2008. This painting I did in 2019/2020. I finished this right before the pandemic. So, and this was somewhere in between. You'll notice I can paint eyes now. Back here I was hiding them. It's also a common thing found in artists that they have a hard time painting their eyes sometimes. So, that's my 2 cents. Painting. And the last thing I'm going to say is that my paintings are projected. I will link my painting tutorial that I did for Nilüfer either up here or down in the bottom or at the end of this video. Somewhere I'll link it so that you can see how I project my paintings, because while I can do things by eye and while I did things by eye for a really long time, I started to want to hack things because I just couldn't get them perfectly right. So now I project when I first start painting just to get my base down, and I think it's a cool hack, but I was not told that in the beginning. So in the beginning I did things from eye, which I think is really important because you learn a lot, and then you can incorporate really cool tools like a little mini projector, things like that. Okay, I don't know, 45 minutes? I don't know how long I rambled, but this video has been on my list for like 3 months, so this is kind of relief, even if it's a mess. So thanks for watching. See you guys next week.